Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Go ahead and hit the like and share, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm pretty sure you've heard by now, Jeffrey Epstein allegedly committed suicide yesterday. I just find it odd that this man committed suicide when he was on suicide watch. And it's funny, when I started posting this yesterday, then I start seeing videos emerge now trying to say he wasn't on suicide watch. Let's talk about it. It's also funny to me, right after I see this, federal charges ramp up pressure on rkelly to make a deal. I wonder why, soon after that happened, this is what they come out with next. What do you think? But back to Jeffrey. His death came less than 3 weeks after he was found unresponsive in his cell at the federal prison in Lower Manhattan with marks on his neck that appeared to be self-inflicted. According to ABC News, he had been on suicide watch since July 23rd, which is when he was found unconscious. He was arrested on July 6th for alleged sex trafficking of minor girls at his Upper East Side mansion and his home in Palm Beach, Florida. Some of the charges date back to the early 2000s. Same as rkelly, huh? Do you find it odd that little glimpses of Epstein's private black book started to emerge on social media prior to his death? And John Legend, Beyonce, Jay-Z, the Clintons, the Obamas, it was a lot of powerful people on this list. And I find it also odd that the day before he dies, his court documents are unsealed to the public, which links a lot of powerful politicians to sex trafficking. And he comes up dead, even though he's on suicide watch. And just like that, we're going to forget about Epstein and all his political friends who were implicated in his sex trafficking. Because as they will tell you later on in this video, once the person is dead, the defendant is dead, the case dies. However, these accusers can still reap financial rewards from his estate. This was the article that was published, and I didn't see much press on it when he was originally found unconscious. And they said this incident was being investigated. Is it also odd to you that this post emerged right before his death? And it says, "For the sake of keeping this out there, Here are a list of current facts. Jeffrey Epstein's safes have been opened. They found possibly into the thousands of pictures of powerful people abusing children. Also found DVDs with the name of the client and the name of the child. His pilot that flew the private jet that several people are on the logs for taking trips for the pedo island has been subpoenaed. Since being in custody, Epstein has been attacked or possibly attempted suicide, but given the situation, smart money is on the first option. Jeffrey Epstein's client list has not been fully disclosed. However, the names that have been leaks suggest that a very large number of our federal government, Hollywood, and powerful business people are on this list. Hell, even royalty. A major rub in this situation is that other leaked names are a large number of our news media that should be reporting heavily on this. His trial is not expected to start until June of 2020 at the earliest. Though I understand due process and the amount of work I'm sure the prosecutor and defense have, I'm not sure this guy will make it that long. And with the United States heading into presidential elections, that very possibly has a large number of candidates that are clients of Epstein. This may be a time to consider this an existent circumstance. No, that's not right. I can't read that word. But anyway, don't let this story vanish. So, again, this post emerged before Epstein's death. And then all of a sudden, bam, Epstein committed suicide. I'm giving that the whole side eye. Because at the end of the day, many of us know that it's been said a lot of satanic and child abuse goes on in the industry. And the fact of the matter is, you can say without question that rkelly has not taken an interest in a lot of things celebrities do. But that doesn't mean he's not fully aware of what's going on. With that being said, same thing goes with all these celebrities standing by idle, and even those that know him personally trying to publicly bash him as well. I feel like they know about these little child abuse rings they have going on. But the point in me bringing up R. Kelly and this is just for you to keep your eyes on this situation and just see how different it plays out. But let me let you watch what the news has reported.
Joins us now. Jeffrey Epstein is dead after being found unresponsive at a New York City jail Saturday morning. Officials say that his death was an apparent suicide. He was being held without bail pending a trial on sex trafficking charges. CBS News has confirmed a medical examiner has opened an investigation into the cause of the death. The FBI is also investigating his death. Epstein was 66 years old. CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman joins us now by phone. Ricky, do we know for certain that he was still continuing to be on suicide watch?
Well, it appears that, as I said to you a bit of time ago, the first story is never the last story. We were all under the impression, as with every other news outlet, that he was on suicide watch. Now it appears that he was not on suicide watch, but that he was in a special housing unit, although he was recently on a suicide watch. And then he was put in this special housing unit And so now the question is not how did he commit suicide when he was on suicide watch. The question changes to why wasn't he on a suicide watch when he had attempted suicide as recently as July 23rd? So I say the Bureau of Prisons is going to be really looked at, or looking at the MCC, and it appears that this is an investigation that may be handled by the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Department of Justice, rather than the Bureau of Prisons. It is extraordinary that someone Epstein's notoriety was not being watched after this attempted suicide attempt just a couple of weeks ago.
We know that the Attorney General, William Barr, released a statement saying that he was appalled to learn about Epstein's death this morning while in federal custody. And he said this raises serious questions that need to be answered. Talked about the FBI investigation, also that he's consulting with the Inspector General, who's going to open an investigation into the death. So what happens now, Ricky? How do they get to the bottom of something like this, answering the questions that you're asking, which is, why wasn't he on suicide watch if he wasn't?
Well, one of the questions that will immediately come forth is there video? Within the Bureau of Prisons and certainly at the MCC, there should be video of these various units. So that's the first question, is there video? If there is not video, why not? Then you really have to get down and dig deep as to what are the policies that are going on in the Bureau of Prisons, and particularly in the MCC, that would have allowed him not to be on suicide watch, especially after the suicide attempt on July 23rd. And then if you look at the fact we had this, as we call it, a document dump, of thousands of pages from a civil suit that were terribly incriminating to Jeffrey Epstein, as well as to allegations of other prominent people. So if there was any clue in the MCC that this was a vulnerable time for Jeffrey Epstein, it would have been after yesterday. So the Inspector General, if that's who's going to conduct this, or the FBI, or the Bureau of Prisons, whoever is going in there to take a look, has got to start probably at July 23rd and find out what happened then and what's happened since then.
July 23rd, meaning the last attempt that we believe when he tried to commit suicide, tried to take his own life.
Tried to take his own life, or did someone try to relieve him of his life? We still haven't settled that one.
Mm-hmm. So many questions at this point, Ricky. What are really the top things that you still are wondering, in addition to knowing whether or not he was on suicide watch at this point and why he might not have been? What else do you feel needs to be answered in an investigation into this?
Well, as to the suicide, if it is a suicide, obviously, what were the means? How did he get the means in order to be able to do it? If it was a rope, if it was a knife, whatever it happened to be, how did he get a hold of these materials, and why wasn't anybody looking at him? As we move away from the suicide itself, then we have to look at both criminal and civil cases. Number one, in criminal cases going forward, obviously there's no case any longer against Jeffrey Epstein, but the U.S. Attorney's Office can certainly proceed against enablers of Jeffrey Epstein, particularly if the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI can prove up any allegations by some good, solid evidence against Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend, who is alleged to have been a procurer of young girls, that is children, for Mr. Epstein and others, and that's Ghislaine Maxwell. So she is the next person in the crosshairs if the U.S. Attorney's Office continues to go forward. In addition, you have other enablers, whether they're employees, whether they're associates, whether they're pilots, whether they're people who ferry these young women back and forth. So you have a lot of questions there about criminal cases. In addition, have the issue of civil cases. So if I'm one of the lawyers for any of the alleged victims, or alleged victims starting to come out of the woodwork, which may occur, then the first thing I want to do is make sure that Jeffrey Epstein's estate is put in escrow so that it is not diminished by anyone who has control of that estate.
All right.
And we have, at least in New York, there is now legislation that is signed into law that will allow a victim to proceed without any statute of limitations as of next Wednesday.
Oh.
So you could have people who are filing civil complaints as of Wednesday.
Fascinating. I did not know about.
So do y'all heard all this? As a result of all this, R. Kelly, now they've passed legislation so that any person can just come out the blue, no matter how old, and come up with accusations. Whereas now it's just for minors. But you see how they keep manipulating R. Kelly's accusers' age to fit their agenda, just so they can come and make sure in the future they can open it up so that anybody can make an accusation.
That new law, Ricky Kleeman, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
He asked me to get comfortable, to take, my clothes off.
Did y'all just see all that? He was charged with soliciting minors and all this. Got this nice little plea deal. And look how they doing R. Kelly. Talking about he got 500 plus years. Like, just peep game. And he only facing 45 years. I'm talking about the exact same type of charges. So people keep saying, let's not make this a black and white thing. Like, I try personally not to make it a black and white thing, but you'd have to be fucking stupid not to see how different both of these cases are playing out. One feeding off the other. And now look what happens to Epstein. And now the feds are trying to put the pressure by continuing to add bullshit charges against R. Kelly. None of this adds up. If you haven't, make sure you go and follow the official Unmute R. Kelly page. Because as we can see, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but they've clearly deemed R. Kelly guilty before his trial has even started. If you like this video, thumbs up, leave comments below on what you think about this whole ordeal, on what you believe to be true about this Epstein ordeal. Do you believe he committed suicide, or do you believe he was assassinated? What do you think about the coincidence of the feds dropping this new story and trying to apply pressure to R. Kelly after this alleged suicide? Have a great day.